first 9 as Liverpool fans gather at Anfield for Premier League title celebration. These and many more later on the sports segment of the news. My name, Hakeem Akitunde. You're welcome.
You're welcome once again. The Ogun State Governor, Prince Dapo Abiodun, has approved the appointment into key boards and commissions of 7 statutory boards in the state. According to a statement released in Abeokuta on Thursday, the list of the first batch of appointees into statutory agencies on board and commission in the state. Other appointments will be made in due course. The commissions whose board were named include those of the State Civil Service Commission, Local Government Service Commission, and Teaching Service Commission. The rest are those of the Housing Corporation, Health Management Board, State Agro Services, and that of the State Bulk Purchase Corporation. The appointees and their commissions are as follows. Ogun State Civil Service Commission, Mr. Tokumbo Odebumi, Chairman. The members are Honorable Adebowale Ojuri, Olusegun Fagbayi, Gabriel Ayinde Falola, Ms. Nike Oshoba. Ogun State Local Government Service Commission, Ms. Buki Onobanjo, Chairman. Other members are Honorable Lukman Olufemi Adiro, Koye Ijaduoye, Yusuf Adigbenro, Babatunde Rafiu. Ogun State Teaching Service Commission, Evangelist Lekon Ifede, Chairman. Other members are Olaniwaju Majakodumi, Aderi Betela, Honorable Joseph Adeleke, Adiola Akitonde. Ogun State Housing Corporation, Chief Mrs. Shanusi, Chief Yemi Shanusi, Chairman. Other members are Olawale Ojo, Abidemi Alimi, Adeniyi Edu, Adebayo Shuaib, Ademola Balogun, Omitaomu Ekundayo, Olumide Shoyemi. Ogun State Health Management Board, Dr. Kunle Salako, Chairman. Alhaji Wasiu Isiaka. Other members, Isaac Olawale, Mr. Dele Tinuosho, Sunday Akintono, Amzat Abimbola, Dr. Bankole Oshinsoya, Salami Mojisola Ayodele, Abimbola Majakodumi. Ogun State Agro Service Corporation, Chief Kehinde Adebanjo, Chairman. Honorable Ajibola Ogunshiji, Mr. Felix Olufemi, Princess Oshinyemi, Chief Remi Onosonya, Sunday Kojeku, Bidemi Ogunsheye. Ogun State Bulk Purchasing, Engineer Anthony Ojeshino, Chairman. Kehinde Olaleye, Dele Erison, Mutiu Bankole, Mojisola Shongunuga, Bingpe Shonubi, Jamiu Ashimi. Ogun State Police Command now has communication equipment, vehicles, motorcycles, and other logistics, courtesy the current administration, which has helped them ensure protections of life and property in the state and will help the new commissioner. The governor of Ogun State, Prince Dapo Abiodun, made this submission while receiving the new commissioner of police, Edward Ajogun, in his office. Governor Service correspondent Tunde Laniro reports.
Commissioner of Police, Kenneth Abramson, was full of appreciation to the governor of Ogun State, Prince Dapo Abiodun, for his leadership and support.
We have serious security challenges, particularly in the area of logistics. And he gave us the tools, over 60-something patrol vehicles, 366 walkie-talkie, power bike motorcycle, steel helmets, and motorcycle that help us to meander the terrain and also to monitor the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, particularly when there are traffic gridlock, so that the motorcycles can meander and check the traffic robbers. So you have done quickly. I'm very, very fulfilled and satisfied. I am happy.
The new Commissioner of Police, Edward Awolowo Ajogun, promises to take the battle to the gate of the enemies of peace in the state.
Worldwide, there are three principal objectives and priorities of a police organization, and that is crime control, civil disorder control, and of course, elimination or reduction of fear of crime. I want to let you know, sir, that I've come wholeheartedly to commit myself to accomplishing these three principal objectives in the state. That I will take the battle to the dens of armed robbers, traffickers, all the heinous crimes or criminals in the state.
Governor Dapo Abiodun, who spoke highly of the outgoing Commissioner of Police, Kenneth Abrimson, challenges the new Commissioner of Police not to drop the ball, going by his level of experience and knowledge of the state.
And someone who has the understanding of the state. You understand the nook and cranny of this state, having worked here and been in charge of operations. I'm not sure that we could have asked for or wished for anyone better at this time to take over from the good works that CP Abrimson has been doing. And from your analysis of what you intend to do by way of crime control, elimination of fear, civil disorder control, that will be knowledge-based, will be intelligence-based, will ensure that Nigerian police conduct themselves with integrity.
He reiterated the commitment of his administration towards ensuring that residents of the state sleep with their two eyes closed.
You attest to, we now have an Ogun State Police Command that has communication equipment, that has vehicles, that has motorcycles. We have in place a security trust fund whose charge is to look after the needs and the welfare of the police and the law enforcement architecture. I do not have a doubt that with all this, you would be further encouraged, you'll be further motivated to achieve all the objectives that you have enumerated before this evening. So on one hand, I want to welcome you back home. On the other hand, I also want to wish you well.
The efforts of the current administration in the state in the security of lives and property cannot be swept under the carpet, as it has given security agencies in the state the logistics to function adequately. Tunde Olaniro, OGTV News.
The current administration in Ogun State has set up a team comprising of ministries of special duties, transportation, as well as works and infrastructure in conjunction with relevant security agencies to find a lasting solution to the recurrent and consistent gridlock on Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. At the end of the meeting, they all agreed that traffic enforcement will be stepped up in the area and more logistics will be put in place to ameliorate the sufferings of commuters and residents of the area. Governor's Office correspondent Tunde Olaniro reports.
Lagos-Ibadan Expressway is the busiest road network in the country, going by its strategic location. Recently, plying on the road has been full of torment and torture for both commuters and residents. Hence the meeting of relevant ministries and agencies to fashion out the way out. The security agencies assures of quick response.
Considering the volume of vehicle on the road, the traffic will always be heavy. And we still want to use this opportunity to appeal to members of the public and other users too. Patience is equally important, and discipline, respecting the traffic rules. People don't obey traffic rules, like pedestrians who are supposed to use the persistent bridge who put their life at risk.
I want to assure the government and the peoples of Ogun State of our continued support and commitment to discharge our duties, our mandates selflessly.
We still have to do much more on enforcement about all security agencies in the aspect that the state government and the federal government are supposed to have what we call a joint task force, especially on the menace being created by the commercial activities within that area. And the pedestrian, we have pedestrian bridges there. people doesn't comply with it.
And, you know, we have so many, we have like 3 fire stations around this place. We have one, we have the private one, which is the Redeem. We have one from Shagamu, that's coming from Shagamu, that will cover to Danko. And we have one in the Sherry that will cover within Kara Bridge, Asheshe, Nasfa Redeem. So, but the government is still agitating to have more stations across that corridors.
On the part of the government, Commissioner for Special Duties and Intergovernmental Affairs, Femi Ogumbanwo, and his counterpart in the Ministry of Transportation, Engineer Benga Dairo, says more logistics will be put in place to ameliorate the sufferings of the people.
Well, like we have said, we have listened to them. Some of the suggestions they put forward are what we are already even working on. But we have also listened to them. The purpose of calling these meetings for us to come together to brainstorm and find a way forward, so that we can minimize the number of hours our people are spending on that road whenever there is any accident.
We have occasions when buses from Lagos transgress, if I may use that word, into Ogun territory, so to speak. Ordinarily, that is occasioned by the need for those buses to serve the demand that exists in Ogun State and also what in Lagos State. What we have observed is that there is a lot of connection between Ogun and Lagos. And because of that, the 2 leaders in Ogun and Lagos have come together and they've said they're establishing a Lagos-Ogun Commission, which will look at the situation around the borders of Ogun and Lagos State and where both states can collaborate to effectively serve the residents, visitors, and businesses that straddle both Lagos and Ogun State.
They revealed that the state government will also collaborate with neighboring Lagos State to sensitize the pedestrians and road users.
We are going to set up a task force that will involve all the agencies so that there will always be rapid response to issues along that express.
Well, the immediate concerns, basically, in my opinion, are caused by the road construction activity. And I don't believe that the diversion that has been introduced by Julius Baja on behalf of the Federal Ministry of Works is as effective as it could be. So after this meeting, we shall be engaging with the Federal Ministry of Works. We shall be engaging with Julius Baja themselves to see what they can do and what they have to do to ensure that there's enough capacity in there to cope with the volume of traffic and the type of traffic that's using the corridor itself.
They all rose from the meeting with enthusiasm and zeal to improve the traffic situation in the axis. Sunday Olaniro, OGTV News.
Still on security, the trend of peaceful coexistence coupled with high level of protection of lives and property of people in Ogun State, as well as zero tolerance for crime, will continue unabated with the new dispensation of administration in the State Command of the Nigerian Police. The new Commissioner of Police, Ogun State Command, Edward Ajogun, stated this in his maiden address as he takes over from the retiring Commissioner of Police, Kenneth Abramson. The adding-over ceremony took place at the command headquarters, Eliweron, Abeokuta. Peter Falomo completes the report.
Arrival of the new Commissioner of Police, Ogun State Command, Edward Ajogun, was greeted with palms as he was welcomed by the Guard of Honor. The first meeting of the new Commissioner of Police was with the outgoing Commissioner, Kenneth Abramson, and the senior officers in the State Command. While meeting with officers in the command, the retiring Commissioner of Police, Kenneth Abramson, appreciates the State Governor, Prince Dapo Abiodun, for the support of operational vehicles and security gadgets given to the State Police Command.
These patrol vehicles, motorbikes, and communication gadgets have been distributed to police stations, and they have contributed immensely for us to combat this hoodlums. It has also helped us for effective crime prevention.
Kenneth Abramson also lauded the support received from the command officers who were instrumental to many recorded achievements during his tenure.
I only want to use this medium to express my profound gratitude to my management team, who have been my support base and who have assisted me in running this race.
He thereafter enjoins them to reciprocate the gesture to the new State Police Commissioner, Edward Ajogun. In his speech, the new Commissioner of Police, Edward Ajogun, speaks on the three principal objectives and priorities under his leadership, ranging from effective crime control, civil disorder control, and a reduction in fear of crimes across the length and breadth of Ogun State.
Our crime fighting template will be comprehensive, cohesive, and proactive. We will at all times endeavor to be ahead of criminals through visibility policing. Also, both uniform and plainclothes policemen will cover the length and breadth of the state, conducting routine and propulsive patrols, stop and search for what we call frisk, monitoring and surveillance, and attending to distress calls in neighborhood streets, highways, and waterways.
CP Ajogun adds that the vision of Inspector General of Police on community policing towards taking security to the grassroots level will also be heightened.
The management team of the command and I will continually monitor the activities of policemen in the state to ensure that we strive hard to deliver our noble and protective services to the people of Ogun State in order to win their cooperation and support, which is crucial to our success and relevance in the state.
CP Edward Ajogun thereafter called for the cooperation and assistance of residents in the state, while reiterating that he will not let the command and the state down under his watch. Peter Falomo, OGTV News.
Ogun State government is announcing recommendations from relevant stakeholders, including ministries, departments, and agencies of government, to propose an enabling law that would empower a task force to be established in checkmating the maintenance of land grabbers in the state. The Special Advisor to the Governor and Director General, Bureau of Land and Survey, Mr. Aino Salami, stated this while presenting achievement of his bureau in the last 6 months before members of the House Committee on Lands and Housing, led by Honorable Damilola Shoneye, held at the Assembly Complex, Okemoso, Abeokuta. Correspondent Kolawole Osho covered the meeting, and his report is presented in this package.
Presenting the achievements of the Bureau within the period under review, the Special Advisor and Director General, Bureau of Lands and Survey, Mr. Aino Salami, said the Bureau had improved on its service delivery, hence a specialized committee had been put in place to ensure timely clearance of all backlogs of title documents been abandoned in the past years. Aino explained that the legislation would empower the task force to evoke the relevant sections of the extant anti-land grabbing law to address the avalanche of petitions bordering on land-related cases, adding that such became necessary to enable rightful owner take possession of their landed properties with ease, which was corroborated by the chairman and a member of the committee, Honorable Damilola Shoneye and Honorable Bashir Abdul.
The anti-land grabbing law is in place. All we need, I think the Bureau is working, we discussed that, they are working on the task force to enforce that law. We need the task force. We have loads of petitions from notes and trainings within the state here also. We need task force. I think we discussed that and you agree that you'll be coming with a bill which will enable the task force to function.
The lawmakers in their separate submission tasked the Bureau to revamp the land services and administration with a view to delivering more quantity of title documents to applicants within the reasonable time frame. Also, the acting general manager of the State Housing Corporation, Estate Surveyor Akinwale Ojo, disclosed that 947 artisans were engaged in the construction process of 130 units of 2 and 3 bedroom semi-detached bungalows on the housing project situated on a 5.5 hectares at Kenta Housing Estate off Ajebo Road, Idiaba, Abeokuta. Mr. Ojo said out of the 130 units, a total of 74 had been completed with provision of facilities to ensure convenience of all the allottees. He stated that the corporation generated the sum of 413.5 million naira within the period under review, adding that an additional 8 and 2 units of fully detached and semi-detached bungalow respectively were put in place alongside 32 blocks of 2-bedroom semi-detached expandable bungalows at the state. The Commissioner for Special Duties, Barrister Femi Ogunbanwo, also presented the 2020 budget performance of his ministry, just as the budget performance of the State Muslim Pilgrims Welfare Board, Christian Pilgrims Welfare Board, and that of the State Independent Electoral Commission were praised by the Honorable Adeniran Ademola-led House Committee on Special and Intergovernmental Affairs.
For the state orientation program that I just mentioned, we spent 3 million naira. Then for the school feeding program that I said was under suspension and we're in the process of revalidating, we have to make procurement of uniforms and cooking utensils for 3,694 cooks.
House Committee on Youth, Sports and Employment Generation, led by Honorable Shola Adams, had earlier assessed the 2020 budget of the State Ministry of Youth and Sports, State Sports Council, Gateway Stadia, Ilaru, Ijebu-Ode, and Shagamu, as well as Moshood Abiola International Stadium, Abeokuta.
Due to come after the break, top military officers, Governor Yahaya Bello, others pay last respect to first female combat helicopter pilot. Monitoring report after the break. Do join us again. Welcome back. The Ogun State government has commenced massive dredging and redredging of canals and waterways as a way of preventing flooding in the state. Commissioner for Environment, Honorable Abiodun Abudu-Balogun, while inspecting the exercise in Abeokuta, said the move is to further reiterate the Prince Dapo Abiodun-led administration resolve to stop flooding and its unpleasant effects in all the nooks and crannies of the state. Shemilori Makonju has details.
Following the recent torrential rainfall which led to flash floods experienced in Ogun State, the government is embarking on preventive measures to reduce the adverse effect of heavy downpour on human lives and properties. With the dredging of canals of waterways, Commissioner for Environment, Honorable Abiodun Abudu-Balogun, reassures that the Governor, Prince Dapo Abiodun, has given directives that all floodplain areas in the state be identified in order to provide solution to flooding.
Prior to now, the Ministry of Environment has always engaged in dredging activities throughout the state, but the Governor of Ogun State, Prince Dapo Abiodun, has again directed and also give us necessary approval to dredge and re-dredge where applicable to ensure that the waterways, the canals are cleared of any form of encumbrances that could result in flood.
Honorable Abudu-Balogun also calls on the people living around the canals and waterways to stop human activities on them by desisting from dumping of refuse, placing of porta cabins and building and such, so that the exercise can serve its set targets.
We have our machines working, our excavators, and then we are doing our best, believing that when we open up all these locations, the issue of flood in most places in Ogun State will be a thing of the past. We may not be able to have total control to check flooding activities, because most times some of these things are caused by human activities.
Some residents of the areas visited applaud government for quick intervention and also called on other residents to comply with government's directive. Among the canals and waterways that are being dredged include Isale Oja Kuto, Amolasho, Ijeun Titun, Oja Gbangba, and MKO Abiola Stadium canals, all in Abeokuta, the Ogun State capital. Shemilore, Makonju, OGTV News.
Nigeria has recorded 543 new COVID-19 cases, with the total infection rising to 38,344. The Nigeria Center for Disease Control, NCDC, disclosed this on Wednesday night via Twitter. In its latest update, the agency revealed that the new cases were reported across 14 states and the Federal Capital Territory. 22 states, however, did not record a new case of COVID-19 in the last 24 hours. As usual, Lagos remains the epicenter of the virus with 180 new cases, followed closely by the Federal Capital Territory with 86 new infections. Other states with new cases include Kaduna, 56, Edo, 47, Ondo, 37, Kwara, 35, Ogun and Rivers, each reporting 19 cases, Kano, 17, Ebonyi and Enugu, each having 16 cases. States with fewer cases include Delta, 7, Bayelsa, 4, Bauchi, 3, and Abia, 1. The country has been able to successfully discharge a total of 15,815 persons who have recovered from the virus. However, 813 persons have unfortunately died from the disease. The task force on reopening of worship centers in Ogun State has tasked religious leaders and opinion molders in the society on the need to constantly exchange real-time information, opinion and advice amongst the people on COVID-19 prescribed guidelines, with a charge to adhere strictly to lay down prevention guides for the reopening of worship centers. Commissioner for Health, Dr. Tomi Koka, who doubles as the chairman of the task force, while addressing religious leaders during Day 2 assessment visit to worship centers in Yewa axis of the state, noted that there was need for religious leaders to constantly share first-hand information that would enable their members to take informed decisions that would protect them and their loved ones from being infected by the virus.
We are going to have a set of announcements, so information sensitization, that when you do your announcement, you can actually educate the congregation on, what COVID is about, how to protect themselves from getting it. And if COVID is detected and treated timely, the risk of mortality and morbidity is very low. So that's what we need to just tell people. Even when they're not in church, when they're at home, they should seek medical help whenever they feel unwell.
The Commissioner therefore urged religious leaders to cascade the prescribed protocols to other smaller churches around. In a submission, Commissioner for Fiscal Planning and Urban Development, Town Planner Tunji Odunlami, while speaking on safety of people, lives and property amidst the pandemic, advised the leadership of the Ilaro Central Mosque to reconsider the use of the uncompleted mosque for prayers to avert disaster. Also speaking, Commissioner for Environment and Engineer Abiodun Abudu Balogun urged the leadership of worship centers to ensure the contamination of the worship premises before and after each corporate service, while recommending the use of a disinfectant chamber for large gatherings. Responding, the Secretary, League of Imams and Alfaz, Ogun State, Al-Aji Tajuddin Adewumi, who described the visit as a welcome development, noted that various leaders of worship centers had placed banners and other information materials at designated places, while a sick bay had been put in place for an unforeseen circumstances among members, and measures have been put in place. Some of the worship centers visited are the headquarters of the Living Faith Worldwide Altar, as well as Cathedral of Christ Church, Ilaro. The Federal Executive Council, presided over by President Muhammadu Buhari on Wednesday, approved a new policy on local production of bitumen to further diversify the nation's economy. The Minister of Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, disclosed this at the end of the council meeting, which lasted for over 8 hours. He said that the policy was approved to develop strategies to enhance, stimulate and encourage local production of bitumen in the country. He expressed optimism that the policy, when fully operational, would enable the country to save millions of dollars from the importation of bitumen, which is a raw material used in road construction worldwide. The Ministry of Works and Housing presented a memorandum on the initiative of the President as the source of bitumen, which is used in road construction. It was a policy memorandum which reviewed that a significant amount of bitumen used in road construction in Nigeria is imported, therefore creating job abroad, and recommended to Council to approve a directive to the Ministry of Petroleum Resources and the Ministry of Mines and Steel Development to develop strategies to enhance, stimulate, and encourage local production of bitumen. The minister reviewed that the federal government was also promoting the use of more cement, stones, and rocks in road construction. President Muhammadu Buhari has arrived in Mali on a one-day visit aimed at finding a political solution to crisis in the country. The president's arrival was confirmed in a tweet by his personal assistant and media, Mr. Bashar Ahmed, according to an earlier statement by the Special Advisor on Media and Publicity to the President, Femi Adesina. Buhari's planned visit followed the briefing by the ECOWAS Special Envoy to the country, former President Goodluck Jonathan. The statement adds that President Buhari and the ECOWAS Chairman, President Muhammadu of Niger Republic, had already agreed to meet in Mali to engage in further consultations towards finding a political solution to the crisis in the country. The two leaders are expected to be joined by the host President Ibrahim Boubacar Keita and President Macky Sall of Senegal, Nana Akufo-Addo of Ghana, and Alassane Ouattara of Cote d'Ivoire, respectively. President Muhammadu Buhari was on Thursday cited with a face mask for the first time since the COVID-19 pandemic started. The Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 had recommended the compulsory use of face masks while in public as one of the guidelines meant to curtail further spread of the virus in the country. But while visitors to the presidential villa are always seen with face masks, Buhari has never been seen with one. But in a photograph shared by his personal photographer, Bayo Omoboriowo, on Thursday, the president adored face masks in Bamako in Mali. The photograph showed the president with the white face mask as he disembarked the presidential jet. Omoboriowo captioned the photo as at Muhammadu Buhari arrives Bamako, Mali for the peace mission by the ECOWAS head of state, 23 July 2020. Buhari and some West African leaders are currently in Malian capital to find a solution to the worsening political crisis in the Francophone country. It had earlier been reported that Buhari's Special Advisor on Media and Publicity, Femi Adesina, announced Wednesday that his principal would join his counterpart from West African Regional Bloc on a peacekeeping mission to Mali. The Senate Ad hoc Committee investigating financial recklessness in the Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC, on Thursday said the agency had spent 1.3 trillion naira within 4 years, with some of the spending unlawful. The committee reviewed the figure during the presentation of its investigative report before the Senate days after the acting NDDC Managing Director, Professor Ponde, slumped at a public hearing. In the report read by the Senate Committee Chairman, Senator Olubumi Adetumbi, the NDDC spent 1.3 trillion naira between 2015 and May 31st, 2019. Many of the expenses, Adetumbi said, were extra budgetary. He added that the committee observed process errors and infractions as well as substantial payment were made to staff in form of unjustifiable allowances. The investigation further revealed that the NDDC paid 4.9 billion naira to staff for numerous allowances, including COVID-19 relief, tour duty allowances, overseas travel, and international scholarship. Curiously, the payment for overseas travel and scholarship was during the lockdown and cessation of flights abroad. The committee also observed that the Ministry of Niger Delta is culpable of negligent supervision of the NDDC. It further noted that the performance of the Interim Management Committee, ICM, is a major issue, as the record of the IMC has not shown any record of prejudice and it should be dissolved. The committee also raised an alarm over the forensic audit called for by President Muhammadu Buhari, stating that it is at a rudimentary level with the recruitment of the auditors still on the way even after 8 months. The House of Representatives has resolved to institute a legal suit against the Minister of Niger Delta following the expiration of a 48 hours ultimatum on Tuesday. The House issued an ultimatum to the Minister to publish the names of lawmakers who he claimed had received contracts from the Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC. The clerk has been directed to issue a criminal complaint of prejudice and civil defamation suit against Mr. Akpabio. Meanwhile, the Senate Other Committee investigating financial recklessness in NDDC has concluded its investigation and has presented its report before the Senate. In the report read by the committee chairman, Senator Olubunmi Adetumbi, he said the NDDC spent 1.3 trillion naira between 2015 and May 31st, 2019. Many of these expenses, he said, contravened the law and were extra budgetary. He said the committee observed process errors and infractions as well as substantial payment were made to staff in form of unjustifiable allowances. The investigation further revealed that the NDDC paid 4.9 billion naira to staff and numerous allowances, including COVID-19 toll duty allowances, overseas travel and international scholarship, curiously during the COVID-19 period. Ogun State Chamber of Commerce, Industry, Mines and Agriculture, OGUN has held its 36th annual general meeting and investiture of its 18th Executive Council, now led by Alhaji Wasiu Olaleye, with a charging aim to support the developmental aspiration of the government. The State Governor, Prince Dapo Abiodun, gave the charge during the investiture ceremony held at MKO Abiola Trade Fair Complex, Okemoso, Abeokuta. Ifesholuwade has the details.
Ogun State Chambers of Commerce, Industry, Mines and Agriculture, OGUN, established in the year 1980 and comprising of 5 city chambers which include Abeokuta, Yewa, Ijebu, Remo and Ota Agbara Chambers of Commerce and Industry, is saddled with the responsibility of representing business communities on matters affecting trade and industry. At the Chamber's 36th annual general meeting, the immediate past president, Nigerian Association of Chamber of Commerce, Industry, Mines and Agriculture, Nasima Yalode Alabalosin, in her speech, calls for enhanced support from state and federal governments to promoting public-private partnership for the benefit of the masses.
We always put people that have passion in this Chamber of Commerce, people with passion for what we are doing that can take us to the next higher level. And so we are saying we are ready to work with you. And we are ready to say PPP, public-private partnership, must work in Ogun State.
The State Commissioner for Industry, Trade and Investment, Mrs. Kikelo Molunge, who represents the State Governor, Prince Dapo Abiodun, at the event, congratulates members of OGUN on the landmark achievements with several accountable successes. Mrs. Lunge also reiterates the state government's stance on supporting private entrepreneurs and investors.
We will continue to support all genuine enterprises by individuals or organizations that promote and support all measures affecting industry, trade, commerce, agriculture, which benefits our people.
Alhaji Wasiu Olaleye, the 18th president of OGUN, thereafter highlights his plans for the chamber.
In a bid to commit ourselves to the goals, the new administration has envisioned our focus. We need to continue to look inward in order to harness our local resources and encourage the growth of their value chain, both locally and on the global scale. While we are looking to expand our agricultural capability, we are not going to ignore our past activities. We intend to expand our dual vocational training center, further develop business and necessary skills to advance the private sector.
Commissioner for Industry, Trade and Investment, Mrs. Kike Lomolunge, after the investiture of the new exco, tours facilities at the complex to assess small-scale entrepreneurs' products at the venue. Ife Shuluade, OGTV News.
The Ogun State Committee on the Engagement of Nigerians for the Federal Government's Special Public Works has dissociated itself from the fake job forms that are in circulation. Chairman of the committee, Senator Bengal Badara, in a statement said it had no hand in the circulating forms, adding that the forms are also not for sale. Obadara said his committee has not yet released the forms for collection, saying for now it is still educating the public through the media on the way to collect the forms. Anyone, according to him, caught in the act of circulating the fake forms or selling it will be dealt with the full weight of the law. He explained that the exercise is for 1,000 people from each local government in Ogun State from the age of 18 to 50 who will collect 20,000 naira per month for 3 months in the first instance. New executive members that will pilot the affairs of the National Association of Women Journalists to Ogun State Chapter for the next 3 years have been inaugurated. Speaking at the inauguration ceremony, the national president, Ife Omowale, charged the newly inaugurated executive led by Comrade Modupe Ola Shobukola to strive to maintain the virtues of professionalism in the discharge of their duty. Our reporter Moyoluwa Ajayi covered the event held at the NUJ Secretariat Iwe-Iroyin, and a report is presented in this package.
Newly elected executives of the National Association of Women Journalists, NAWOJ, Ogun State Chapter, taking their oath of office. The newly executive members include Comrade Mutupe Olashobukola as the chairperson, Comrade Adenike Oluwaseyi Ajala, vice chairperson, Comrade Olukemi Aminat Orunsolu, secretary, Comrade Adejoke Adeleye, assistant secretary, Comrade Bosede Akitunde, financial secretary, and Comrade Murenikeji Shobaluju, treasurer. The national president of the association, Comrade Ife Omowale, represented by the Vice President, B-Zone, Comrade Morenike Tonieson, advises the newly inaugurated executives to ensure that the association continues to be role model it used to be.
And so I want to admonish our chairperson and see that we should work hand in hand. If there is crisis in the states, now watch, there will be crisis internationally. And we, the topic at every level of security we have. So I want to say that what important, you and your secretary was very, very close. You don't allow anybody to give you stories.
Comrade Omolola Adeyinka, chairman of the caretaker committee of the Nigerian Union of Journalists, Ogun State Council, in a goodwill message, assures the new executives of the union's support.
This is a new regime. Let us support them. Let us attend congresses regularly. Whenever we are called upon, let us attend congresses. Don't let us sit down at home. Let us what are they doing there? Let us play our own role as women journalists.
The new chairperson of the National Association of Women Journalists in Ogun State, Comrade Mudupeola Shobukola, appreciates all for the honor and promises not to let the association down.
Journalism is about giving voice to the voiceless, and as women journalists and mothers, we are prepared to give a voice to women in different sectors of the society. We are prepared to give a voice to children and even our husbands wherever necessary. We will now watch, under my watch, as the chairperson will give a voice against social vices and other innocent acts in the society.
Ogun State government has reassured its commitment to bring in more developments to the state-owned television, OGTV. The state head of service, Al-Ajah Salimot Otun, gave the assurance during a congratulatory visit to the management of the station with a charge on the team to re-strategize and ensure more income generation amid the pandemic. Moses Ojaomi reports.
The management of Ogun State Television, led by its general manager, Mr. Festus Kehinde, in a congratulatory visit to Alhaja Selimot Otun on a recent appointment as the head of service in the state.
We will just with you. We at OGTV now are here just to assure you of our unflinching support that whatever we are supposed to do to make sure that the tenure impact on the entire workers of the state, we will do it. And we have that implicit trust in you also that you will take us to the glory land. Congratulations once again, man.
While appreciating the visit, the #1 civil servant in the state charges the management team to ensure that the station continues to soar despite the adverse effects of the pandemic.
Personally, I'm overwhelmed to receive members of #1 station, OGTV. I commend your dedication to work. I believe that the state is going to be on a wider coverage with OGTV. As a result of this, all hands must be on deck. It is also evident that COVID-19 might have affected most of your programs. That means you have to strategize. You have to think outside the box. I believe you can do it because of the caliber of people in OGTV.
She also assures the station of continuous state government support.
The administration believes in your station, and I pray that the stations will continue to fulfill the yearnings of the founders. I want to assure you that Office of the Head of Service is open. We are together. We have been doing it together and we continue to do it together.
In company of the Permanent Secretary, Minister of Information and Strategy, Mr. Abiodun Awere, she was presented with a congratulatory card by the General Manager of Ogun State Television, Mr. Festus Kehinde. Alhaja Selimot Otun is the 19th Head of Service of Ogun State. Moses Ojewumi, OGTV News.
The new Chief Imam of Egbaland, Sheikh Bamigbola, has been banned with an admonition to always channel his new responsibility towards propagation of Islam and effective leadership. Elizabeth Esson has the details of the event held at the Central Mosque, Kobiti, Abeokuta, Ogun State.
The 17th Chief Imam of Egbaland, Alhaji Uliadi Orunsholu, gave the Muslim community in Egba the responsibility of consulting all quarters for the appointment of a new Chief Imam to run the affairs of Islamic organization in Egbaland. Installing the Chief Imam, clerics enjoin him to continue in his good deeds and devotion, which made him the people's choice for the post, saying the development of the Muslim and non-Muslim communities should be his priority.
The mercy of Almighty Allah, that you are lenient with your companions. If you are to be hard-hearted, they will have deserted you.
Expect him to bring more new ideas to the benefit of the Muslim community.
He has good character, so we have no doubt on him.
Alhaji Rashid Raji, Baba Adini of Egbaland and Chairman Board of Trustee Egba Muslim Organization, and Alhaji Tajuddin Adisa Olori, Chairman of the occasion, who was represented by Alhaji Latif Benson, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Forestry, Ogun State, urged the new Chief Imam to continue to build on the legacies left behind by his predecessor.
We expect a lot from him, so that's why I said I pray that God will give him wisdom and understanding to be able to carry this heavy weight.
Some illustrious Egba indigents who graced the occasion lent their voices about the new Chief Imam.
Honor to our nation, which is well merited. He has been in the service of Muslim community for over 40 years.
Muslim leader, you must carry everybody. The Christians are looking forward to him.
the relationship between the Christian and the Muslim must be cordial.
It's well commendable. It's a great achievement on the part of we in Abeokuta local government and in Egba district also.
The new chief imam, who is from Ikporake in Egba land, is the first from that quarter.
The man is capable.
Importantly,
I know him very well, and being from
on behalf
Ikporo,
of the
I know
ex-chief of
he will
leadership
raise the level of
Egba Muslim community
Islam to a higher level during his tenure.
Sheikh Saadallah Alade Bamigbola was thereafter turbaned for his new post by clerics, while in his response promises to uphold the tenets of Islam in the discharge of his duties.
Ìfọwọ́sowọ́pọ̀ náà ni mo wà fún láàrin gbogbo àwọn mùsùlùmí láàrin àwọn ẹlẹ́sìn míì lágbára Ọlọ́run àárí pé kò ní sí conflict.
Sheikh Saadallah Alade Bamigbola is the 18th chief imam to be installed in Egba land. Elizabeth Esson, OGTV News.
On various segments of the news, Federal Inland Revenue Service insists out tenants must pay stamp duty. Monitor and report on the business segment. Federal Inland Revenue Service (FIRS) has asked landlords and property agents to charge 6% stamp duty on all tenancy and lease agreement with all renters for onward remittance to the service. In a statement on Wednesday, FIRS said the burden of the payment of the 6% lies on beneficiaries of the tenancy or lease agreement, whom the Stamp Duty Act identifies as the tenant or renter, and the responsibility of the collection and remittance falls on the landlord or agent in charge of the property for lease or rent. In any case, the party making the payment shall have the obligation to account for the applicable stamp duties. Some other stamp duty types and their rates are appraisement or valuation of property 1.5%, certificate of occupancy, partnership 1,000 naira flat, gift of land 1.5%, legal mortgage 0.375%, legal mortgage up stamping 0.37%, deed of conveyancy or transfer on sale of a property 1.5%, moratorium on understanding related to land sale, joint venture, subvision agreement 1.5%, power of attorney 1.5%, and sales agreement 1.5%. That was the business segment of the news. On the world today, U.S. President Donald Trump is to send a surge of federal security forces to U.S. cities amid protests in Chicago and Portland. Details are in this package. A surge of federal security forces to U.S. cities in crackdown on crimes. Chicago and two other Democratic-run cities are being targeted in the Republican president move amid a spike in violence. But federal deployment in Portland, Oregon, amid ongoing unrest have been controversial. The city's mayor was among those tear gas